Hello everybody, welcome to another inspiring episode of FoundersGyan and thanks for tuning in. This is episode 19 and our guest on the show today is Mr. Manoj Surya of Zenty.co, that is Zenty.co. Zenty is a startup that aims to help communities get sponsorship for their events. I'm super excited and pumped to bring you this show. Do check out the show notes at www.foundersgyan.com/EP19 and also the top listened podcasts at foundersgyan.com/TOP. What are we waiting for? Let's get the show on the road. Manoj, welcome to the show. A quick brief on Manoj. He is the founder of Zenty.co, a website that helps find sponsors for community events. Manoj worked at IIITH and has also dabbled in the startup space in 2013 when he was the co-founder of Metro Labs. He is also the founder and organizer of Startup Talks, a community for early stage entrepreneurs. I am super excited to meet you and thanks a lot for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your knowledge, wisdom and time with our listeners. Thank you, Manoj, for agreeing to be on this show.
Thank you, Ram. Thanks for the invite. I'm really excited to be on this podcast.
Okay. Manoj, can you fill in the blanks from the intro and tell us a bit more about your journey before Zenty.co?
Yeah. So, I think you covered most of the part. Startup Talks, I started after quitting my first job. I was looking for a venue where I can learn. So far we have done 31 events for early stage entrepreneurs, and we are a community of 3,500 in Hyderabad and 1,500 plus in Bangalore. Metro Labs is a training firm. I was really interested in training. For some reason, I have to close it. Now, since I realized I'm more with events than anything else, so I thought why not make communities and meetups do better by getting them sponsorships and deals. And that is what I'm doing now.
Okay, excellent. So, can you explain in a few sentences what is Zenty and how did you come up with this idea in the first place?
Yeah, I think often there are a lot of things that are in front of our eyes and we do it a lot and we don't realize that that is what we are passionate about. Same thing happened to me. I think I was with a lot of community events, meetups. Right from my college days, I was a secretary for ISTE. After coming out, I attended a lot of events even while I'm in job and started this startup talks, started doing events, started attending all the events. I think I find very interesting when a lot of people meet. Suppose if there are 50 people meeting, they have no idea what they're going to be in the next 2 years. I've seen people ended up being co-founders, ended up getting very good results for their businesses and becoming lifelong friends in a short span. As in lifelong, as in they're really close now. I think I get motivated when I see things like that. So I thought I'll go make something in that space. So if you look at bigger events, generally there is a big organizing team and there are a lot of people to get sponsorships. And the attention level is very low, as in if it is 2 days event, there will be at least 10-15 sponsors and the attention span reduced to 1 by 15. So I thought if it is happening once in a year, there are like 30-40 events happening in the same space, in the same city throughout the year. So why not get the brands there? So meetups and communities can get benefited with the money. And brands can also get undivided attention from this space because the crowds are small and the attention level can be really high. The problem here would be how can we look at the logistics, as in how to get the posters and banners in every meetup and community. So we said we are not doing it offline, we are doing it online. So a couple of weeks before their meetup, they have to create a campaign on Zenty, send it to their group friends who are attending. Ask them to engage with the brand, as in we'll ask them to tell what they think of the brand or answer a few questions. So these kind of things. So these are measured. So for the company, we say we'll get to 1,000 people in a month. So we go to 20 different communities, get them engaged online, show the metrics, saying these many number of people have engaged with you, and distribute the sponsorship among this 20 community.
Okay. Excellent. So I really like the idea, but can you tell us what does the name mean? Does it mean anything specific or it's just a catchy name?
A lot of people ask me this question. So because we do a lot of social engagement, so I thought the URL should be really short and should be starting with Z or A, because Apple and a lot of good companies started with A already. So I said I'll go with Z, and that I wanted to take something meaningless because I'm a, I believe in minimalistic things, as in meditation, or not having a lot of things in mind. So I thought even the name should not speak anything. It should sound good. So it doesn't mean anything, but luckily it has Zen in that. So Zen is happiness. So spreading happiness in communities and meetups. So that is a brief about the name.
Okay, excellent. Now, for our budding founders listening out there, can you give us some ideas on how to come up with a good idea?
How to come up with a good idea is really tough. I mean, I wrote. I mean, there are times where I wrote down 50 ideas on a book, then striked off uh, everything that I cannot do, or the skill set I don't have, or I didn't understand it well. The idea is to write everything in top of your mind, at least 50. So then you'll see some patterns that you write repeatedly. That probably is something that you have spoke about recently, or you worked on it for a long time. So there is no one way to look at that, but I think for me it took me 2 years to find out that to realize I'm always with events and meetups which are small, and there is a space for that. I started exploring uh, and came up with this. I think the idea is to try and everything that comes into your mind and write it on a paper. Even after a week, if you go back and see the book and it makes sense, probably that is when you should start working on it.
Okay, excellent advice. I really like it. Now, we all know that an idea is only as good as the execution. So, what are the steps, or what would be your personal take on what a person needs to do in order to make the idea into a reality?
Right, that's a great question. I think idea is worthless without execution. For me, I'm very fortunate to work in an incubator where there are a lot of acquisition stories, a lot of stories with seed fund, Series B. So seeing them closely, one thing I realized is everything else doesn't matter if the customer is not willing to pay. So I think you should. I think if you have an idea, you should call the customers, at least 5 people. Say, do you have this problem, and do some customer research. As in customer research, as in you should not go and ask, I have this idea, will you buy? So either ask the previous data, as in if you have to order food, how do you order before? Are there any problems in the existing apps? What do you think can be done better? Or anything that is related for your company. I think you should always ask the existing data. There is something called mom's test. If you do that, even your mom doesn't lie, because you'll feel good about it. So I think to start with, everyone should go with two things initially. Read Lean Entrepreneur book, read the business model canvas, and do the javelin both. So briefly, I'll tell what it is. Lean Entrepreneur tells about how can you validate your idea in the least possible time. Business model canvas help you with all the components that you have to think as an entrepreneur. It has 9 components, starting from value proposition to revenue models. And the third is Javelin Board. Javelin Board is a framework that helps you to validate your idea in 2 days. It's a cycle, so which you take it forward. But the idea is you test your idea with different customer segments and validate whatever assumptions you have is real. So if you see the score is coming up, as in they have problems and that needs to be solved, I think that is when you should start working on your idea. And moving forward, there are ways that you can still validate directly asking someone for money. In my case, before even building the website, I called a couple of companies. I told this is the solution. I said we have 10 communities and they need sponsorship. This is the cost. And if you agree, I can come to your office and we can discuss the financials. And they agreed. I went to their office and told it is coming in a month, they'll come back. And I went to communities and I said, we have a couple of companies who are ready to sponsor. Would you like to give a try? They said yes. So I know there is a product market fit. But even before this, whatever I have told in the business model canvas and in entrepreneur, I have followed them and it worked really well for me.
Okay, excellent advice. Can you also talk a bit about the mom stress? Is it you mentioned something, the mom stress test or something like that, right?
Yeah. So if you're going through customer development and idea validation, you'll come across this. So if you ask your mom, saying, mom, do you have a problem? I'm actually developing an app to, solve it. So your mom don't want you to be disappointed, and she'll say, yes, I have a problem. And in reality, she might not have that problem. So the idea is go and ask, do you use apps? How many? What kind of apps you use? Have you come across this kind of situation? In that situation, what did you do? So if you ask these questions with the existing data, what happens is they won't lie. They'll say what happened already. So suppose say my mom says I use WhatsApp and Facebook. I know that she's good with apps. She understands how to look at contacts and messages. I'll ask, did you see any websites? Do you read any blogs? Then I'll understand, uh, does she really understand how to uh, work on internet? Then I know, okay, there are a few people like this. Then I ask, how many of your friends have this kind of a habit of looking blogs or, active on Facebook? Suppose say she'll say 5 out of 40, then I know in that age group there are only few people who are in that. So then I go back to another customer segment and probably try asking different questions or the same questions and try to understand the market size or the customer profile of usage of their existing problem or the customer behavior. So most of the times you look at, I have an idea, will you pay for this? So suppose I've seen one team in startup weekend going out and asking, they were making a review website. So they said 9 out of 10 people wanted to write a review. I asked, like, what is the question you asked them? I said, will you write a review if there is a product and that will be helpful to all? So who would want to say no to a stranger? They wouldn't say no, right? So they'll say, yeah, probably I'll write. And but in reality, 1 or 2 people out of 10 write the reviews. So I think you have to understand how to remove that bias while you do the customer development.
Okay, excellent advice. I really like it. Now, let's move on to a bit of a personal question. So, we all hear about founders sacrificing family time to make their ventures a success. Can you tell us a bit more about your own family and how you manage to balance business and family?
I'm not married, so it is a little easier. But even then, my dad is worried when I said I'm going to quit my job. So this is the second time I quit my job. First time when I did, he wasn't really happy. Then this time I know that he have to agree. Not just I convince him, but he have to get convinced that for me this is the big thing. So I told him very honest situation. I said I'm good with job. I can get a better salary. If you want me to do that, I'll do that. But I might not be really happy. I think I'll be more happier when I try this. And I know this is promising because I have done this customer research. I have done. I've got this data. I've spoke to these many companies. I spoke to these many communities. So I was talking about something that is real. I'm not talking about an idea that might or might not work. Even today, I don't know till where it can go. But I know that my groundwork is really high. So that helped me to convince my dad. I told him, so whenever you say quit my job, I'll do it. I'll not say I want to quit and and do something. You tell me if you're okay if I'm quitting. So it took him like 3 4 months, but then he saw my passion, enthusiasm, and and of course my work also spoke a lot. as in terms of the ground research I have done and the things I tried to do. So he got convinced that I could do it. I said it might really fail and end up nothing after a 1 year or 2 years. And he said, "Yeah, we speak about doing great things, but we never accept. Probably you should give it a try this time. And since you are really into it, I think you should go ahead." So yeah, it wasn't easy, but then I could convince.
Okay, excellent. Now, Zenty.co is your own company, and you don't have any co-founders. Is that correct?
When I started, I had co-founders. Now I don't have. I think I might get a co-founder in a couple of weeks. I spoke to a few people, and very good number of people showed interest. Yeah, I mean, you know how the startup works. I mean, it's very uncertain. So yeah, I think I'm getting over that.
Okay, so my question was actually to do with the fact that since you don't have any co-founders, how do you validate your ideas and your path without anybody to kind of sounding board without a sounding board, you know? So what do you do to overcome that? And kind of second part of the question is, do you have some mentor do you have a mentor to guide you?
Right, that's a excellent question. So how I'm managing without a co-founder? I think I'm doing good in whatever my skill set is. That is getting customer. I mean, the business development part, marketing part, anything that is non-tech, I'm doing. For a startup which is very early stage and I'm in growth stage, so I'm able to manage with outsourcing few things. I have outsourced my technical part uh, because this platform is people centric. So I'm looking at the people's part, and I'm able to do the pilots and do some sampling in different customer segments. As in, how much cost would it help for students? How much sponsorship would it help for working groups? How much cost would it help in professional groups? So it is tough. It's not easy. There are a lot of pending tasks I have to do. But then I'm really choosing the most priority things that keeps me moving and the company moving. So, which is again coming back, having more customers on board is a key. So that is what I'm trying to do. So it's really hard to brainstorm things alone. So I follow two things. One is I have really good mentor. His name is Shrikant. He's the co-founder of Arcton. He's in Silicon Valley. When I told him this idea, he's really excited, and from day zero, we were brainstorming and we started ideating. And of course, I do a lot of it because I'm the founder. But Srikant, since his company got acquired recently, uh, so so he's working in Valley, and he was looking to help few startups in social media space. And for me, it's a mix of online offline thing, and it has a lot of social media connect. So every alternate day, I used to speak to him at least for an hour. So I'm really lucky to find a mentor like that who spends 1.5 hour because he really loved the idea. He even helped me in a little bit of development and a lot in strategy. So that is one way I make things better in Zenty, as in having really good mentor and taking his time. Second way is I go to I mean I'm a part of startup leadership program. It's a community. So whenever I say I have a problem, people come together and brainstorm. So recently there is a business model canvas session I've done. So it went for 8 hours, and there are like 8 people who brainstormed on Zenty for a very long time. I think for everyone it might be hard, but to get into something like startup leadership program. But I really encourage to go to few entrepreneurs, not to their friends, not to their family, to brainstorm. Somebody who have done something or running a company. Those are the ones who can actually understand what you're talking about, and they can understand the problems. So there are a lot of founders who are really open. You can just approach them and say, "This is what I'm doing. I need some brainstorming. Can you give some time?" So call 3 4 people and take different views. This works best if you are in an incubator, accelerator, or any community like startup leadership program. even otherwise I've witnessed people accepting to spend time.
Okay. Okay, that's really excellent advice. Now, you touched upon this a little bit. You said you do meditation. So, is there a morning ritual that you follow? Can you share it with myself and our listeners?
I said I'm a minimalist, something like meditation. I used to meditate. I did for 6 years every day for 1 hour. I really believe in that. Now I'm not meditating, but then a lot of things that help me to avoid things. I ignore a lot of things that people generally think of. As in, I don't worry much. I know it's temporary. As in, this it is a phase. Once you understand it is a phase, and you write down things that needs to be done, then you clearly understand it's not something. Either there for everything there is yes or no, right? You want something to happen. If it happens, it's good. If it is not happening, you have to come over and do something that's even better. So I think I still have that mindset that I got when I started meditating in a school. I don't meditate now, but then more. I think I've learned those things not to worry or. So most of the time, I just spend time alone, thinking nothing. So probably it can be called a meditation. I think so. Not technically, but then spiritually, people call it meditation. So.
Okay, yeah, cool. But is there a daily ritual that you follow? Is there something that you have to do every day, or is it just because it's a startup, every day is different?
Every day, there are two things I just keep myself in mind. One is my to-do list, and it really is not so easy for me. And I started prioritizing recently, and it is working really well. And you understand what progress you're at, and you know what needs to be done. Second one is I really makes myself very focused and not be emotional. As in, whenever I do something and if it is not happening, it's fair chances that we tend to get tensed. But then I try to reduce that. So other than that, I don't do any rituals. I think if you're not worrying about things and doing your work at your best, I think that will produce a lot of good things in the future, or not, will not take your health for granted. So
Okay, excellent. Now, can you tell us something about yourself that is not commonly known?
I have a lot of fantasies that people doesn't know that I have fantasies. I want to travel the world. I want to build a 500 crore company. I want to get back to education when I reach 40 years. I think I'll have enough wisdom and money so that I can go and teach in a good framework where it doesn't ask people to mug up or do things. Probably some framework that will help them do what they really like. uh, I believe in this 2020 vision, as in by 2020, 85% of the Indians are young, and if 85% of the people are young and doing the same thing, probably will be a good factory of people outsourcing, not something to be innovative. Uh, I might not be ready at 2020, but then I think I want to contribute back and reach every Indian possible that can make a difference. I didn't share it much, but then this is always in my mind.
Okay, very nice, and good luck with that. Now, what is the best advice somebody has given you?
Uh, it's very situational advices I always got. First time I was trying to do Metro Labs. It's a service company. I have a very good mentor. His name is Ram. Uh, so he asked me. I mean, he was mentoring me for 3 months. He knows that I'll not accept if what he has in mind. He tells me on day one. So he advised me to do at my best for 3 months. Then later on, one day he asked, Manoj, what do you want to do? I said, I want to build a big company that impacts a lot of people and also makes money. He asked me how much money you want to make. I said, 500 crore. I don't know why that number, but I said that looks good for me, good enough to travel the world in any jet I want. So he said, will that, do you think this company will take you there? I said, I don't know. I have to do some calculations. So he said, like, go calculate. I said, I took a sheet, I calculated it. It is nowhere going to be near that number, not even 2% of it. So I said, why don't you just stop if that is not what you're wanting? So I quit that evening. So it was very quick, but then I realized, if you find something that is not what you're looking for, though you have worked on a long time for it, you should just move on, because you tried something, you might have got something, but you should move on to achieve what you want. Now it's not finite food, but it's the impact I'm looking at, how big this can impact. Can it impact a couple of million people at least, is what I'm looking at now. Uh, it, so first time I quit my coding, I coded for like 4 years. Someone said, I think you're good at speaking. You should do it. So someone making me realize I'm good at people, and someone realizing I'm not in the right path is great advice I got, because that evening have changed me a lot of worldview I have.
Okay. Okay. Brilliant. Brilliant. I really like these stories. And it was great. So I'm sure our listeners would also. Now we are almost through the interview. We have just another 3 or 4 questions. Now startups come with a lot of pressure. So give us some tips on how we can handle pressure when things aren't going well.
uh, okay, I think you should just relax. I think you should come back, relax, and say, you know what? Most of the people go through this, and it's not so different for me. Either take rest for that day, think about nothing, do nothing, go for dance, or go out with friends. Don't think about work. World won't stop. You'll realize it didn't stop. Uh, Second is, I think you have to have your to-do list and have priorities. It might sound really simple, but I think it makes a lot of difference, because you know exactly how much time what will take. Once you have data in front of you, that is on ground, I think you can strategize well. Otherwise, what happens is you'll have 100 things in mind, and you do not know which one to prioritize. When you think of multiple things in your mind, not act on it, is when you get stressed. But when once you start acting, I think you'll get relaxed. And second one is really speak to people who are in the same journey, or have really good mentors who have gone through that, and they can advise you well. I'm looking for co-founders, and I told my mentor, it's really going bad. It's been 2.5 months, and I didn't find anyone. He said you can't expect a marriage to happen in a night. So that made me realize to look around and see what people are doing for finding partners. Sometimes it is 1 week, and sometimes it is like 6 months. So I said, this pattern is not something that is alone doing for me. It's the problems that everyone has. So have things on paper and have people you can talk to. So that worked for me.
Okay, that's brilliant advice. Now, can you tell us about your worst entrepreneurial moment and the lessons you learned from that experience?
I'm lucky that I'm in a family with business background. Though coming to my generation and previous generation, few of them went to jobs, but I always heard about stories about my grandfather, great grandfather, who are into business, and how they impacted the society or have done good things from the money they got. So I thought that fascinated me more than a job, and I am lucky enough to think very stupid and foolish to start something like startup talks when I don't know anyone, and I don't know what startups are about. Being in that ecosystem helped me a lot. I think being an entrepreneur, so you will see if 100 entrepreneurs are there, there are only 15% who will go back to job, and again they'll come back being an entrepreneur. So I think once it bites you, though it's stressful, though You fight a lot of things every day, though you try to fix things every day, but you still go down the fun. But you'll feel good. You'll never feel bad saying what is happening in my life. You'll not have questions like, am I doing the right thing? What is this life all about? You'll see a lot of people talking about this who are in jobs or not really thought of what they want to do or not doing what they like. You'll not feel like that. You'll know this is your mission, or you'll feel accomplished while doing it. You'll really do it with your heart. I think these are the best. This is the best time of living as an entrepreneur, and I hear this often.
Okay, great. Now let's retouch a bit on Zenty. Now, when we were talking about this podcast, and you mentioned that you are getting the product fit right for the market. So, are you still in that stage? And if yes, do you have any advice for other founders who are in a similar stage as you are?
Right. I think first is to find the product market fit. One is when we say product market fit, it also depends on different customer segments. Not all customer segments act alike or think alike. So first, finding your niche. My niche now is travelers, uh, working professionals. Even in working professionals, there are arts groups and personality development groups. That is my niche, and student groups for sponsorship. So I'm experimenting with this. I know the market size or the segment size is really high in each of three. So once I do enough sampling of companies and pricing, so that is when I'll be going to expand. So initial groundwork for finding a product market fit, coming with the pricing strategy, coming with different offerings for different segments. Though the product is same, you might want to have different tires, like many products have. So it will take a little time. But then I think you should really start with the two or three customer segments. And again, coming back, Javelin board, lean entrepreneur will really help in this sense.
Okay, excellent. Can you recommend any books or resources for our budding entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think there are only three things anyone should start with. One is Lean Entrepreneur or Lean Startup. There are two different books, but more or less talks about the same thing. Business Model Canvas is a must. Javelin Board is a must. And not about reading, but implementing them is the key. Apart from this, there are a lot of podcasts already. There is Startup School Lessons by Y Combinator and Stanford, who did it together. Most of the people start with Paul Graham's blog. I think if you are looking to find ideas or what problems you'll have or what is a startup, all the gyan that you need is in Paul Graham's blog. Um, yeah,
Okay, excellent. Now, I have one final question, but before we get to that, how can our listeners get in touch with you? Are you active on LinkedIn, Twitter? Do you have a blog? What's the best way to reach you?
all my profiles are open access and all the social media. You can search for Manoj Surya on LinkedIn or Facebook. You'll find me. Or if you want to write a mail, you can drop a mail at manoj@zentty.co. So I can respond in 24 hours. And yeah, I would love to get in touch if someone likes to get in touch with me.
Okay, excellent. So I just have one final question, but before we move on to that, I just want to take the time to acknowledge and thank you for sharing your knowledge to myself and our listeners. And I'm also very grateful for the value you are adding into the world by means of your startup. And I think it's really a great service that you're doing for communities. So I wish you all the best with that. So with that, we'll move on to the final question.
Thank you so much, Ram. I think FoundersGyan will be really helpful for a lot of people. My learning is very limited, but I could validate it because I've been in between entrepreneurs for a couple of years. I hope this helps a little, and yeah, and good luck with you.
Yeah. So if there's one GAN, the final question is still not come. So if there is one GAN that you could give to our would-be founders, one parting piece of advice, what would that be?
If I had to give the advice, I think go and take advice from the right people for the right things. As in, if you're talking about product in education, go and talk to somebody who have done something in similar, find a mentor, and really go and talk to customers. These are the only two people that matters, and nothing else. And if you're talking about marketing, go and talk to somebody who did marketing. If you're looking at some tech advice, go and talk to somebody who's really good at tech. This advice looks really, really simple, but most of the people interchange it. They find really good, they go to an event, they find an investor or some really good entrepreneur. So they can talk only about from their experience, though they're like really experienced, they'll only talk from their view, which I think going to the right people who have done it, as in the mentor who have been in that space, or your customer are only people who matters. If you have to take the right things. So I think that worked really for me, and I see this mistake being done by a lot of people, and I've done that too. So though I know a lot of people now, I don't go to them because that is not what I'm doing.
Excellent advice and Gyan, Manoj. I really like it. So thank you so much for your time, and it was a real pleasure chatting with you, and wish you all the very continued success in your future.
Thank you so much, Ram, and I hope this FoundersGyan goes viral and a lot of people like it and get benefited. Good luck for you and all your audience.
There you have it, folks. Another great startup and founder. I do hope you enjoyed it. Please do share this if you found it useful via www.foundersgyan.com/EP19. This link has all the show notes as well as handy icons to share the show. I'll see you all next week with yet another startup and founder. Till then, you know what the show was meant to do. I do hope you got inspired and do take action today. Thank you again for tuning in.